Welcome to What's the Book About? I'm your host, Kevin. This is Fisherman's Hope by David Feintuch. This is the continuing story of Nicholas Seafort in his fight against an alien fish invasion. And in this case, he's training the next generation of naval officers. So this book takes place in 2201, just shortly after the end of the previous novel, and if you're lost, just go watch the other videos. Now, Nick has returned to Earth after having successfully defended against the alien invasion of the colony world of Hope Nation. He's war-weary, though, and ready to retire, but the Admiralty convinces him to continue on as the Commandant of the Naval Academy. He parlays some of this fame into getting one of his ideas into the hands of the naval scientists. He's got this idea for a weapon that will use the quirks of the aliens in order to safeguard Earth and its colonies. Now, while the scientists are working on this, Nick settles into his new life as the Commandant, and we get to see flashes of him as a cadet joining the Navy. And Nick's popularity has boosted recruitment, so there's a flood of new cadets, and you see him helping to train them and guide them, and he throws himself into this work. And his little peaceful life as a naval commandant officer is not to be. Okay, so that's the spoiler-free introduction. Be warned, from here on out, there may be a few spoilers. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. So the business of commanding a naval academy is not easy. The training is dangerous. The base on the moon makes his training realistic and realistically dangerous. The politics are rough and ready, and there is corruption among the staff. And these are just the start of Nick's troubles. In fact, at one point during the story, Nick's wife, who had suffered injuries during the previous book, Civil War and Alien Invasion on Hope Nation, was getting treated, and she ends up escaping treatment and wandering the wastelands of New York City and amongst the gangs of New York. Now, Nick ends up having to take time off to rescue his wife, and he comes back just in time for the fish to invade Earth. And the remnants of Earth's mighty fleet fight off, or at least attempt to fight off, the fish. It ends up devolving onto Nick and his academy and his cadets to save Earth from the fish. So what's good and bad about this particular book? Well, the use of flashbacks to bring us back to Nick's cadet days helps us to understand naval traditions and lets us skip a lot of the actual boring meetings that the staff has to go through in order to set it up. And since the book focuses on Nick and his life and is told from his perspective, it lets us see the cadet side and the teacher side at the same time from the point of view of the same character. And it's done very well. Now, Nick's relationships between himself and his staff and his cadets are also handled superbly. The only relationship that really is flawed is that between Nick and his wife. It's just feels somewhat false when you compare the different relationships that he has with his students and his staff. Now, the political stuff and the committee stuff that Nick has to fight through in order to keep his academy running is realistic, and the way he handles some of those problems are just out and out hilarious. So in the end, what is the book about? The cadet life. It's not surprising given the setup, but as Nick reflects upon his own life as a cadet, what it meant to him, what he makes it mean to them, and how they live, and empathizing with them and understanding what sacrifices they have to make and how they develop from being just kids to being adults. It's the entire purpose of this particular book. And as Nick guides them through this situation, you get to see him handle it out as how he wished it had happened to him. And you get a complex inner relationship between the students and the teachers, and the commandant and the teachers and the students, and it's really well crafted. Not as well. There are a few flaws though in it, which hurt some of the relationships he has, and some of the other characters have. And there are a few places where it needed more fleshing out. But those are minor flaws, which is why I still have to give this book 3 out of 4 stars. It's still a really good read, and you can get it from Aspect Books as a paperback or as an ebook. So there's no excuse that you can't go out and read it and enjoy it. And until next time, have a good one.